Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Hind's Garage. We're working on a Dearborn Granny some more. Making progress on the run stand. Some of it going backwards instead of forwards. You see I made a little progress on the motor too. I got the distributor installed. I got the filler neck back on, a good one that isn't cracked this time, and made sure everything was flat, and went with all the recommendations that I got about not using a gasket, using RTV instead. And you see I have the reducer type of little hose there with right now it's just a little piece of, I was looking for something that was 1.5 inches because the rest of that hose, instead of being 2-inch like the Model A, it needs to be 1.5 inches like the 57 Chevy Radiator. And what I came up with is a tailpiece, a plumbing pipe, a little chrome piece that goes under your drain in like a sink, not a bathroom sink, a kitchen sink or any other kind. The bathroom sinks are 1.25 inches, kitchen sinks are 1.5 inches. So it's chrome brass, so that'll be a nice little coupling piece. So I'll get I need an 11-inch flex hose. And that'll be my next step. That'll complete it to the radiator. And you see I got that pipe. That came in the mail from the Model A supplier. And I've been spending almost 2 days developing that, which you see the plywood part there, the back end of this run stand. You can see, if you remember the last video, I moved the gas tank. It was standing up there on the side. It had another post over there, and I never did care for that because it kind of blocked that side of the motor a bit. And when I built this, right now this is partly apart. I'm cutting the opening in this face of it for the controls. So I had that face on there and I just took it off. It's over here in the vise getting ready to cut the opening. I got to cut the opening in it. You see where those holes are? Sorry about all the zigs and zags. For that piece right there, that'll be the little control panel that goes right in the center of it. You see the little toggle switch will be like a main switch. The selector switch there, the black one with the white stripe, is ignition on and off, and the green one obviously is the start button. And that's all I'm going to have in the way of no gauges. I'm not putting gauges. This is all 6 volt. It's not going to run long enough to, get hot and all that other good stuff. I have one of those, what do they call those things? Laser temperature sensors. I can use that if I want. You see the gas tank is kind of hanging here because it attaches to the back side of the face. And this is choke. Throttle I haven't figured out yet. You see that piece right there with the black end on it. That operates the butterfly on the carburetor. So I'm going to extend that. I'll unbend that or cut it or do something. It's 1/4 inch, so I can attach to it with a rod coupling. Bring it out here at the face somewhere. Like I say, reshape that. But we'll probably just bend that black piece that's sticking up. Maybe just bend it down kind of flat so it comes out over here underneath the face, and then you just push down on it to rev the motor. Right now, that carburetor is just there for mock-up purposes. Got a kit coming tomorrow, I think, today or tomorrow, to rebuild a Zenith carburetor. And I'm not sure I'm going to use a Zenith carburetor. I just ordered a book, a magazine, an old magazine. Tillotson made a carburetor to replace the Zenith. It looks just like a Zenith. It's called an F1B, and I have one. It's all been dipped and everything. It's all apart. I don't know all the details or any of the do's and don'ts about assembling one. So I did a little research the other night, and they said somebody did a nice article in a magazine, an automotive magazine called Skinned Knuckles. from 1985, and I found a back issue of that, ordered it, and it's coming too. It's got this article about rebuilding one of those carburetors. I like Tillotson carburetors. I've done the Model X a number of times. I'd like to have this look more original than that, and that F1B looks just like this carburetor. It looks just like a Zenith. So all things being equal, I'm going to try and use that. Anyway, so much for that. Well, like I say, we're about to cut this opening now for that control panel. So later. Okay, well, there's today's progress. Fuel tank is mounted in its permanent location. See what I did here? There's a shutoff under the tank, so I had to provide access for that. So I drilled this big hole saw hole there, so you can reach in here comfortably, or use the pliers to turn that thing. It's a little stiff, so it'd be easier to turn it with the pliers. But anyway, it's mounted. The choke rod is complete now. You see I put the little thing there for the spring to work against, and made this opening bigger, extended the rod. If you look down there, you'll see there's, I don't know if I can show you this or not. Where is it? I extended the rod. See, I cut it, threaded both ends of it, and put some rod couplings on and extended it 2 inches so that it hangs out here far enough to use it now. Got the panel, the control panel mounted. Cut the back side of the plywood out, you see, for all of the electrical devices. Got the coil mounted. Obviously this will just come out here and go in the top of the distributor. Got the solenoid mounted. Battery, I'm thinking, is going to sit right down there. And I have to verify that. I still haven't, I'm waiting on, the exhaust guy is waiting on the right size exhaust tubing. He said they were short a driver yesterday. He didn't get a delivery. I'm thinking the exhaust is going to go across underneath the engine right here. You see where this piece of strut runs sideways, like close to the floor right there, and then up the outside edge here. Probably put the muffler at like 5 feet up. And I might cover that pipe just to limit the radiation of heat off of it, because you kind of be standing back here maybe. It's hard to say. Might not be. Probably be wandering around this thing while it's running. You see the reducer hose that got installed on the water neck. I told you about the little piece of pipe there. It's a plumbing fitting. So that's where we're at the end of the day today. I'm tired too. You can see here, I used up a whole bunch of plywood leftovers and other leftovers. I didn't go buy a piece of wood. Well, yes, I did. I'm sorry. When I started the cart, I bought 3 8-foot 2x4s to make the longest pieces under the cart. I didn't have anything that long. Everything else was here from the cart that Scott made. The casters I told you were all takeoffs at work that were getting thrown away a long time ago. Like I said, the plywood was all pieces that I had around here. So you'll see there's a lot of scrap pieces. When you cut, a hunk of plywood out of a leftover, you end up with usually an unusable piece. And some stuff there, like those wedges, were those triangles, were used where the fuel tank was mounted earlier. So there's been revisions too. That's part of the scrap pile. Anyway, I'm happy. Done for today. It's hot right now. You see, I got the fans running in here, but it still isn't cool in here. Anyway, that's it for now. Later. Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. We're here today. It is June 14th, Tuesday. We're here today again working on the Dearborn Granny. Making some more progress. Let's see. Today's Tuesday. The last video I made was last Friday. Made a little progress since. Here, let's see. First of all, I've got this waiting on the exhaust guy. He's looking for pipe. He's waiting on the correct size tubing. It's probably been a week now. He was supposed to get it. They were short drivers. They didn't make a delivery. I called him this morning. It's on back order. He's expecting a delivery today. Yeah, wow. I guess that's just 2022, shortage and delays and everything. That's where we're at. Anyway, I'm waiting for that to happen for the exhaust. See, I've got a list, and this is a revised list. I already went through one, and this is what's left on that one. I started another one, a new one. A list of things left to do. I have made some progress. You see here, I have battery installed. I made a shelf to put the battery on and covered the back side of the flywheel. I figured, it would look better and be a lot safer without that thing spinning around right in front of you, easy to get tangled up in it or whatever. Anyway, I made the battery cables yesterday. Hooked them up. You see the solenoid is connected. I have to add the small wire, the wire that comes off of that for all the power on the motor, the ignition. That's all. The ignition and the actual power to operate the solenoid. I need to add that. Run to the main switch up here, the selector switch, the starter switch. I got to do that wiring. I'm going to try and work on that today. But anyway, I got the battery installed, the cables installed yesterday, actually. Made this thing, the shelf and the little back piece there in front of the battery, did that over the weekend, along with a whole bunch of unrelated stuff over the weekend, how to deal with the chickens and all that other stuff. But anyway, here we are. So we're making progress. It's not the fastest, but we're making... seems like constant progress. I've been kind of focused on this as much as I can. So anyway, that's it for now. Talk to you when there's more to show you. Bye. Hello there. It's the next day. It's Wednesday, June 15th. And here we are again working on the Dearborn Granny. Well, yesterday I spent almost all day wiring this, as little as that wiring is, and the fact that I used to be an electrician still took most of the day. Removed this so I could work in here, and there's what you see inside there. Let me show you the other side if I can. Here, goes down and around, hits the solenoid, and ended up having to add a switch over here. I'll make this as short as possible. Won't bore you to death, hopefully. I got it all wired and disconnected the starter motor because I didn't want it to rotate the motor. I got it on top dead center number 1 right now. I didn't want it to rotate the motor. So I disconnected the cable at the solenoid going to the starter motor and hit the start button and nothing happened. And it was like, okay, how come nothing happened? Well, as it turns out, the way they do things these days, I bought this solenoid and it's intended to go on a 9N tractor or something, essentially a Ford tractor. That should have been a clue. But like I say, the way they do things these days, the thing comes brand new from China in a box, giving you the manufacturer's name and the little PR shit and everything else on the cover, on the box, but absolutely no diagram, electrical diagram, no documentation inside of it showing how to connect it, no markings on the housings, the device anywhere as to like line load or whatever. And in this case, that matters. being a Ford product, and like Ford was so inclined to do positive ground, everything's a bit different. Typically on a solenoid, the housing, the chassis of the solenoid is grounded, and you run a positive to it when you want to energize it. Not with Ford. With Ford, the lead going from the battery, the cable goes to the terminal on the solenoid. That also supplies power to the coil inside that operates the solenoid. So what you need to do is treat this solenoid as though it were a horn and supply, or a dome light or something, supply the ground which on the terminal that energizes the solenoid to make it operate. Well, I didn't know that. Like I said, there was absolutely no indication of that. So I had the switch wired the normal fashion, where I was running a hot to the start button, and then from the start button to the conductor on the terminal on the solenoid. Well, that did absolutely nothing. The solenoid, the coil of the solenoid already had positive going to it. What it needed was a ground, and as soon as you hook the ground to it, it was on all the time, because the battery cable from the battery is hot all the time. So the coil is hot all the time, which meant that anytime you push, when I wired it with the ground to the start switch, the start button, anytime you push that start button, whether the power was on or off to the rest of the system here, anytime you push that start button, the motor was going to spin. The starter motor was going to run. So I added the other little switch and interrupt the ground before it gets to the start button. So now, in order to start the motor, the first thing you need to do is turn a little toggle switch on, which then supplies the ground to the start button. When you hit the start button, it runs the ground all the way to the solenoid. So sorry about the long, drawn-out, boring description, but I was out here till 9 o'clock last night redoing shit and making it happen. Not the easiest area to work in. You're working over the top of this, and it's not easy from underneath and all that other stuff. I don't want to whine, but like I say, it took a while. Exhaust tubing still hasn't showed up. It's on back order. Gonna call this morning and see, again, it's 2022, and that's the norm in these days. I don't know why, if any reason, 1 3/4 inch tubing would be on back order, or unusual, or any of those things. But I'm gonna call. Just finished watering the garden. That has to happen every 2 days too, especially now it's getting hot. So I'm gonna call the exhaust guy and see if the tubing showed up yesterday. He said it was on back order. He was getting a delivery, so he didn't know if it was going to be there. Anyway, so that's the progress so far for today, or after yesterday. Still have to do the lower side of this. Have to adapt it to, it's 2-inch coming out of there, but it's on the wrong side on the Model A. On the Model A, it comes out on this side. See this pipe? Goes right to the radiator. There's an outlet at the bottom of the radiator right there on that side. So I have to find a hose or make something that gets the lower outlet on this 57 Chevy radiator over to this side of the motor. And I've been looking on Amazon and other places, and they don't make it easy. Gates has tons of hoses. They show you the hose. They give you all the PR, the greatest, the latest, and all that stuff, and they don't give you any sizes. You got to install an app on something and look at the app to get the sizes of all their hoses. It's like, come on, give me a break. Anyway, bye. More to show when there's more to... I'll show you more when there's more to show. See you later. Bye. There's the aftermath of yesterday, besides what you saw on the motor. I haven't cleaned. Last night, like I said, I was out here till 9 o'clock. I was tired. I didn't bother cleaning up. We're going to do it now. Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. Just want to do a little update here on the Dearborn Granny progress. I've been busy the last few days doing lots of other stuff, so I haven't Really spent a lot of time since the last video, at least, which is I think like 3 days ago, something like that. Haven't spent a ton of time on this. I've been doing something little each day as time allows, even coming out after dinner a number of times. I was out here last night till like 10 o'clock. So I did get a few things done. I chased around one afternoon, almost all afternoon, ordering and gathering parts. I got a little piece of rod to finish that throttle control, this piece. See, watch the carburetor. See when I'm going up and down with it. There's the original Model A piece, that yoke looking thing that bolts on the back of the motor. And then coming off the side, that was all. That had about 5 bends in it. Instead of coming straight out like that, I heated it and straightened it all out. And you see the rod coupling there? That's where it ended up after I straightened it out. It had a 5/16 fine thread on it. I got a rod coupling and a piece of 5/16 rod, and I rebent it so it came out here up underneath the control. And so now that operates the throttle. So that's taken care of. Last night, like I said, I was out here, made this fuel line. It comes out of the tank right there. That's that special hose. It's called, I don't know, the guy where I bought it said it's called the Honda hose. You have to heat it and put it over the barb, or in this case, put it over the 1/4-inch line, and it's hard to do. When you heat it, it turns into jelly. You can't push it on there. It's really hard. I mean, tough. Difficult. So anyway, I finally got it on there. Anyway, I made the copper line last night. The other things I ordered, whenever it was, Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday, that I was roaming around looking for stuff, was a hose to do this bottom radiator outlet. So anyway, that's where we're at. We're getting ever closer. Ever closer. I got to time the distributor, time the ignition, and I ordered a tool. Nurex makes, the Nurex makes the electronic conversions. They make a little wrench for setting there's a cam inside that distributor that you rotate and tighten with a screw, and that's how you set the ignition for when it's going to fire. This little wrench allows you to set that exactly where it's supposed to be, because on these there is no centrifugal advance. The timing is controlled by a lever on the steering column, and that's one more thing I need to do. You notice here on the bottom of the distributor, there's that little arm right there. You see, with the ball thing on top of it, the attachment. That you move back and forth to advance and retard the timing. So, talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Please comment. I'd like to hear what you think. So like and comment if you would. Thank you.